I'd love to introduce Regina Hernandez, who is our Executive Director at CAPE, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education.
Hi, thank you, Jess. So good evening. My name is Regina Hernandez, Director of CAPE, and I am going to just give a brief overview of our service. So first, I'd like to say thank you for inviting us to present on our services tonight. And we hope that some of the information we share with you regarding some of the programs and initiatives we're offering are helpful to you. So our counselors, our peer engagement specialists, and our community educator are going to speak specifically on the programs they coordinate through CAPE, but I'm just going to take a few minutes and go over some overall agency updates. So we've all faced tremendous hardships in 2020 and 2021 due to COVID-19. There's growing research to suggest that there will be a great need for substance use prevention and mental health supports for adolescents and families as children return to school full time. As you are aware, adolescence can be a difficult developmental period for some teens. COVID-19 has added additional factors that have influenced the stability and structure that schools have typically provided youth. It has been a year of disappointment, loss, pain, and isolation for many. COVID has highlighted the risk factors that many students are faced with as they re-enter educational settings and adjust to in-person education in a new world. If problems related to substance use are not identified early, this could lead to poor health outcomes and substance use disorder. Adolescents are resilient, and they can recover and overcome behavioral and mental health issues they are faced with. But the impact of substance use, poor choices, and untreated mental health problems can have lasting implications into adulthood. Organizations such as the CDC and National Council are working to create campaigns geared towards youth that are tied into the impact of COVID-19 on substance use and mental health. They recognize the importance of prevention. CAPE's programs are geared to address the prevention needs of substance use in students who might be at risk of substance use in the Wappinger Central School District. And we work to promote and bring awareness of national campaigns, but we also move a step further to work with schools directly to bring programming as well as identify students and families that need direct support. CAPE has been able to provide high-quality, informative, and evidence-based programs, including Project Success, Prevention Education Series, and Teen Intervene. These programs are facilitated by student assistance counselors who are fully trained in the programs and have master's level education in mental health. These programs include social-emotional learning activities to increase self-awareness, manage emotions, develop empathy, build relationships, problem solve, and develop good decision-making skills. Middle school and high school students who participate in these programs can benefit from increased perception of risk for alcohol, marijuana use, prescription drug use, and binge drinking. These programs connect social-emotional learning with risk and protective factors. Effective January 1, 2021, CAPE is now affiliated with Student Assistance Services Corporation. SAS is a Westchester-based substance use prevention agency with a long-standing reputation in community efforts to address substance use, mental health, and bullying prevention. Our new affiliation will help strengthen our connections in the prevention community and provide access to updated supports and programs that we can deliver to schools and students. CAPE has also been awarded state opioid response funding as a part of the Coordinated Behavioral Health Services Network application for the prevention of opioid use disorder. This grant allows CAPE to work with other prevention agencies in collaboration with treatment and recovery resources. Our goal is to provide prevention counseling to youth throughout Dutchess County, ages 12 to 19, through a program called Teen Intervene. Teen Intervene is an evidence-based, brief substance use prevention intervention with an individual counseling and family counseling component. The program is geared toward at-risk youth that have used substances and are at risk of developing substance use disorder. CAPE will provide licensed mental health specialists to run the program in 3 to 6 sessions with an individual program virtually or in person. Since this program is free to all youth and families, this will help reduce barriers to counseling and promote family and community connections. This grant serves all 7 counties in the Mid-Hudson region. If you know a teen or family member that could benefit from substance use prevention counseling, you can certainly reach out to one of your student assistance counselors in the school district, such as Jessica Sirianni or Molly Orlowski, or you can check out our website at capedc.org or send us an email at info@capedc.org. So now I'm going to pass things back to Jess So she can talk a little bit about the services that we provide, the school base, as well as Molly discussing what she provides in John Day as well. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Regina. So I'm going to introduce Molly Orlowski. She's also a prevention counselor and educator at John Jay High School. So she's going to tell you a little bit about prevention, and we're going to watch a quick video on prevention and why prevention for substance use is so important within the middle school and high school level.
All right, thank you, Jess. So yes, as Jess introduced me, I'm Molly Orlowski, one of the prevention counselors. I work at John Jay High School. So at CAPE, our focus and emphasis is, as Regina had stated, providing substance use prevention services through education and counseling services that we have. Prevention is a way to provide education and resources, both in schools and the community, to try to help delay the onset or even the use of substances. So right now, as Jess said, we're going to watch a quick video that further discusses what prevention is, and then Jess and I will discuss prevention services that we provide in the schools.
All of us want to keep our kids and communities safe and healthy. An important step is to learn about preventing substance use disorders and to understand that the adolescent brain is more vulnerable to alcohol and drugs than the adult brain. The earlier someone starts using substances, the greater their chances of developing a substance use disorder. 90% of those who have a substance use disorder started using drugs and alcohol before they turned 18. 90%. So what does this mean? Prevention is about delaying the onset of first use or pushing it back as long as possible. Whether alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, the most commonly used substances among teens. Protecting the brain during this period of development is an important part of prevention. The adolescent brain is rapidly developing, learning and changing all the time. It can learn a language or a musical instrument more quickly than an adult brain, but it can also be harmed more easily. The brain continues to develop until a person is in their early to mid-20s, with the regions of the brain that keep emotions and impulses under control and help us make decisions among the last to develop. This is also why adolescents are more likely to engage in risky and impulsive behaviors, such as trying drugs and alcohol in the first place. Early use of alcohol or drugs can disrupt brain development in ways that increase a person's risk of developing an addiction later in life. Other factors that put an adolescent at risk, besides the age of first use, include caregiver substance misuse, trauma, and a lack of social attachments. These are called individual factors. And they're part of the big three in preventing addiction, along with environmental and genetic factors. Environmental factors include high drug availability, a lack of laws and enforcement, and social norms. And then there are genetic factors, which research suggests accounts for about half of a person's likelihood of developing a substance use disorder. While we can't change our genetics, knowing about a family history of addiction can help empower us to make different decisions about our substance use. For every risk factor, there is a protective factor to counterbalance it. Prevention focuses on strengthening the protective factors that we can control to decrease the likelihood that a person or a community will struggle with addiction. Together, we can solve this. Join us.
Okay, sorry, just getting back to the presentation. So I am going to talk about what is the role of the prevention counselor and student assistance counselor and educator within our high school and middle schools. So CAPE provides a licensed counselor, a licensed mental health counselor, in 3 different districts and 9 schools offering substance use, addiction prevention education, and counseling to students, families, and communities. So who are we? We specialize in providing early intervention and substance abuse prevention, counseling, and education to students, family, and their faculty. What do? We are available for individual and group counseling for students in the middle school and high school. We provide short-term individual counseling, group counseling such as newcomers group or the COSA, which is children of substance abuse, classroom presentation on a variety of topics such as vaping, substance use. We've gone in for domestic violence, sexual assault awareness. So we've done a ton of different classroom presentations as well. We do prevention activities and programs throughout the school year and also provide referral services in the community. Oops, sorry. So why see a student assistance counselor? Students come in to talk to us for a variety of reasons, and they can be big or small. It does not have to just revolve around substance use. However, usually if a student sees us, they are at risk of a substance use disorder, or they possibly have a parent or an uncle or anyone in their family who is suffering from substance use, which means they are at risk. And the video talked about the proactive and the risk factors, which Chrissy will actually get into more detail about. So we see students for a variety of reasons. We're here to listen, and everything we talk about is confidential between us and the student, as long as we do not believe that anything, is going on at home with abuse or where we would need to contact someone else regarding that student. Our discussions are also in a confidential setting in a safe and comfortable space.
So another service that we provide in the schools is called Teen Intervene, and it's a very beneficial program that we do with students. A lot of times they are referrals, and sometimes they're students we see that we might deem at risk, and provide that prevention education piece with this program. And it's for students who exhibit mild to moderate problems associated with alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. We use techniques known as motivational interviewing to help guide this intervention, to help improve communication and coping skills, and basically try to educate the students about the harmful effects of substance use on their health, including their mental health and physical health. And then other leadership and prevention services that we try to provide in the schools, in some schools is known as the SAD Club. So this is another proactive, pro-social activity that students can be involved in to help with prevention. And as stated there in the slide, it says it works to empower students to successfully confront risks and challenges in everyday life. And it helps to foster a sense of belonging and promote resiliency, leadership, and advocacy skills so young people can help make more healthy and positive life decisions. So next up, we have our community prevention educator, Christine Rowan.
Chrissy, I think you're muted.
There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Molly, for that. So basically that video said it all, so I don't have to say anything, right, Jess? But in all reality, so as the community prevention educator, I basically do, minus the counseling piece, what our girls in the schools do on a community level. And some of the things are very much the same, like assessing risk and protective factors, and then basing education in the community around the needs of the client asking for the services. So whereas the girls work predominantly in schools, some of the schools that they are not in. I do education in those schools. So very much the same way that they'll do educational presentations on vaping or other substances, I will do the same thing in health classes in other middle and high schools where we don't have an embedded counselor. Also, I do the same thing in the communities. So I'll do outpatient programs like ITAP and bring presentations to like their Learning Tuesdays. I also coordinate our community coalitions. And as many of you in this community might know, we have the Southern Dutchess Community Coalition that the girls participate in. And that is community members from many different sectors just working together to continue to provide activities and safe alternatives to risky behavior type activities to community youth and families. Jess, you could go to the next slide. This is one of my favorite videos when we did pictures, images. When we did a PTA forum, I had found this, and it really speaks to a lot of what the girls have already said and what Regina was saying and what we do in prevention and recovery and CAPE as a whole. So we have to build off of a foundation, right? So I love the comparison that the brain is very much like the foundation of a house, right? First, we pour that foundation, then you build on it, and we reinforce it over time. And that's basically what we're all doing. And what I also wanted to add that about our girls in prevention in the schools is that some people may still wonder, like, well, how is that different from a social worker? Or how is that different from our school counselor? And I think it's very important. So I'm a parent as well. And I like to enhance the necessity of our school-based counselors by noting that as a parent, my firsthand, before I started this job, long before I started this job, I knew about the CAPE counselors because we had one in Dover schools, and I live in Dover Plains. And I have 3 children, and my middle child being the most difficult, she found the CAPE counselor in her school. She had gone to the school counselor, the social worker. She just wasn't getting what she needed. And then she heard about the CAPE counselor. And when I tell you, my daughter was 14 years old at the time, the CAPE counselor changed my daughter's life. And I, as a parent, because of course, you know, as Jessica said, their services are confidential to a point, unless you know a child's at serious risk. But I didn't like some of the things my daughter was doing, right? And I wanted to know about those things. But I was comfortable knowing that she was in the care of this mental health licensed counselor who showed no judgment and educated and counseled my daughter. And my daughter is 25 years old now, and she is successful and thriving. And to top it off, it's just interesting to note that the counselor who was her CAPE-based counselor moved on to private practice, and she's actually still my daughter's counselor. 10-year relationship. That's how valuable CAPE counselors can be and what a difference they can make. And I know that our girls are amazing. So I just think it's really important, if there are any parents whatsoever on this presentation, that you understand that this is such a wonderful resource, and the Wappinger schools are so blessed to have it and continue to utilize this partnership with CAPE. So we really appreciate that. Jess, you can go to the next slide. So Jess talked a little bit about risk and protective factors, and also as a community educator in working with coalitions. Coalitions involve the whole community. And so basically what I do is educate, advocate, support, and connect. And I do that by gathering these sectors in the community and supervising, and supervising is kind of strong, more guiding them and helping them to run the coalition themselves. And I'll educate them about all kinds of things going on. So for instance, right now we face, as if the vaping epidemic wasn't bad enough over the past couple of years, we now have to contend with the legalization of recreational marijuana, right? So a lot of what I will do will be based around educating our community on the new marijuana laws. What do you know? What don't you know? How does this work? You know, and then of course educating our youth as to the dangers involving all these concentrates and the high levels of THC, edibles as well. And so that you know, so again, we look at what's happening in the country, what's happening in our community, and I revolve all my education. I target the audience and the substances that are necessary in the current time. And of course, in the face of COVID, you can go to the next slide too, Jess. In the face of the pandemic, this changed a lot, right? So we talk about the balance of a risk factor and a protective factor. And we know that one of the greatest risk factors is isolation. And one of the greatest protective factors is connectedness, right? And having someone that you can turn to, someone that can hug you and hold you, right? So when this pandemic hit, this threw prevention into a tailspin, right? Because now our greatest risk factor became almost a necessary protective factor, right? We had to isolate ourselves from others. And the greatest protective factor of being there for each other, we had to keep our distance. So this really exacerbated trauma, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, and so many other mental health issues, and of course, exacerbated substance use issues. And I don't want to get too statistical, but as of June 2020, it was the CDC had done a survey, and of course, we know that rates were rising, but in the course of the pandemic, 13% of Americans reported starting or increasing substance use as a way to cope with stress and emotions. So this is another necessary service for our girls in the schools to provide, and for me to provide in the community. Just coping skills, coping. How do we cope during this time? And then for ourselves, for anyone in this field, we have to, while we're delivering services and helping everybody cope, we have to take care of ourselves also. And we have to remember that self-care is very, very important. And everyone is going to find their own path to help. And you know, what is their best way of coping. And my job, you know, sometimes I'll go into an organization and I'll be doing a presentation. So for instance, on marijuana, and some people will say, well, I don't know if that should be the only view because her opinion is this. But it is not my job to share opinions at all. It is only my job to educate and provide the facts on both sides of the coin. So whatever is actually science-based, valid information is what I will include in presentations. It is not my job at all to have an opinion one way or the other. It is only my job to educate our communities. And I absolutely love doing it and take it extremely serious. Next slide. And then, so I run a variety of different programs for different age groups and different audiences. I'm all about creating new programs and getting them out to the community to the best that I can. And a couple of the programs that we run are, of course, you know about teen driving, a family affair, which teen driving used to be a live program to educate parents and students. So we use it as a program so that they can get their parking privileges on their school campuses. But what they're really getting is an education on the dangers of drinking, drugging, and distracted driving. And that is why we take this program very seriously. And all the schools in the county, all the public schools participate in this program, except for Poughkeepsie, because they don't act parking on premises. And all the schools take this program, and it's one of my favorites, where we incorporate someone in the insurance field, the medical field, the legal field, and then what we call a VIP, which is a person that has suffered the awful consequences of a drinking, drugging, or distracted driving incident. and they tell their story to bring home the point of how very important it is to drive safely in our communities. So that's one, and that is a seasonal program that runs through the spring to prepare kids for the coming school year. Then the girls talked about Teen Intervene, Blind Spots and Vape Escape. Well, Blind Spots is an adult-only program, so it's for parents, caregivers, school personnel, and it is it goes by many different names depending on where you are in the country, because it is all over the United States. But we called it Blind Spots because we felt like all parents have them, all adults have blind spots to their kids. And what we do is we set up a mock teen bedroom, and I've done this in both of your schools numerous times. And we have adults go through the room looking for signs and implication or innuendo that there might be a substance use problem happening among your youth. We recently, due to the pandemic, we were able to still deliver this program virtually. So it was a little bit different. You know, parents couldn't actually explore the bedroom, but we have a presentation that zooms in on every aspect of the bedroom. So we were still able to do this virtually and can do that anytime. And we also recently filmed it, so it will be available on our website soon. It's still being edited. Vape Escape is another interactive program I find to be much more suitable for middle school than high school kids, but we do use it in both. And it's like an escape room where you go through clues and you can't get to the next clue without answering questions about a particular area of the vaping problem. So that's a lot of fun for the kids. You could do it in teams or individually. And that is enough, but like I said, that is one of the only programs we had not converted to a virtual platform. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again. And then I'm also an ambassador for the Catch My Breath program, which we at CAPE were on board with Catch My Breath before it even became evidence-based, which it now is, and it's actually featured on the SAMHSA and the CDC websites. But we've been doing the program for 3 years when I first discovered it. And so I had very good relationships with their directors, and they asked me to be an ambassador. So I'm literally an ambassador for the program. There's 2 others in all of New York State, and I can train others to deliver this program, and it's free to all schools. So our girls use it. They can be trained to do it themselves, or I can come in and collaborate with them. But there's actually a 4-lesson program that can be done in health classes, science classes, anywhere where you could end up fitting it in and working with another classroom teacher. So it could be our prevention counselors with another teacher, it could be myself with another teacher, and they do the program. And it's grade level. Every grade level has a little bit modification of the program to fit that grade. And then any other kind of presentations on any drugs whatsoever, whether it be tobacco, alcohol, methamphetamine, whatever it might be. If you call me and say, we'd like a presentation on this, I will say, give me a month, but I will create a presentation on absolutely any topic. I do social media, bullying prevention, it doesn't matter. I also do a lot of presentations in certain high schools for freshman orientation, where I cover a lot of subjects. And then, you know, we have all different kinds of initiatives throughout the year. We recently did a drug game night, and we offer prizes. I try to do a vaping PSA contest every year. So we're hoping to do that by October. And Catch My Breath also has a service learning project. So for SAD clubs, for your, what do you call it? For seniors, for Honor Society, they can participate in a e-cigarette awareness project and get credit for that through Catch My Breath. And that's a very interesting program. So the girls can learn more about that and pass that information on as well. So that's prevention in a nutshell. And again, I try to tailor presentations from pre-K to old age. I mean, I go to some senior communities and there's a lot of grandparents out there that are very interested in knowing what's going on with their grandkids. And I actually there's a lovely over 55 community where they have monthly meetings, and I go there on like once a year and do a whole presentation on what's happening so they can know about what's going on with their kids. So grandkids. So that's basically community education in a nutshell. A big nutshell. Oh, do you want me to talk about those things too, Jess? Coalition and Marathon Project? Okay, so I mentioned the coalition. So the Southern Duchess Coalition we hold meetings the second Thursday of every month at 1 p.m., except for July and August. We don't do meetings in the summer. Any community member, any school personnel, anyone can join those meetings, and you can get that information from Jess and Molly because they attend those meetings. Anyone can come to those meetings. And as I said with the coalition, so some of our coalitions are federally funded and some of them have passed that point, but they still function, and we work towards sustainability by doing fundraisers and certain events. Sometimes it's difficult to do. Regardless, the Southern Duchess Coalition, of the 3 that we're running, while they're self-sustaining, they're the most lofty. We have more than 20 people at every single meeting. And it's people from Mental Health America, Family Services, you name it. We all come together. We talk about issues. We talk about, we have an art and education committee. They come into your schools. They do presentations. We have parents of loss who come and talk to the kids while they're doing an art project. So I really extend an invitation to any school personnel, any family members, any parents, anyone to please, reach out to the girls and come to a meeting and see what it's about. Next slide. And then we have the Marathon Project, which is a separate grant for CAPE, and it's a long distance running program for at-risk youth. So a lot of the time there's those kids that don't want to be part of a crowd, don't know where they belong. And this is an optional program for them where we pair an at-risk student with a mentor, and the mentors are volunteers. They could be school personnel or parents, and they prepare for mini marathons and work towards, and they fundraise to do other events. And then we work towards a color blast that usually happens in the fall. Now, with the pandemic, obviously that presented some serious problems for Marathon Project. Kids weren't in school. How do you do this? But we just found ways around it because it is an important program. So what our coordinator of the Marathon Project did was try to do virtual healthy activities online. So we did a virtual 5K last year, probably going to do another one this year before October. And it involves certain schools, and she'll be reaching out to the schools to see if anyone is interested in this program. Did I cover that, Regina, or is there anything you'd like to add to Marathon?
Nope, I think that is a great overview of it. Like Chrissy said, many of the mentors are school-based staff or community staff, and it's really an important to get who might be at risk involved in health and wellness initiatives. So Marathon Project is really helpful in that.
And then next slide, Jess. I think that might be, and yep, and then I'm done. So thank you so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Christina Goebel. I am the Senior Peer Engagement Specialist for CAPE. Jess, you can jump to the next slide, please. So basically the role of a peer engagement specialist or recovery coach is to help initiate and sustain an individual in the recovery from substance use or addiction. We serve as personal guides and mentors for people seeking or already in recovery. Our focus is on building strengths, for recovery capital and to develop a recovery plan. We promote recovery by removing barriers and obstacles. We help individuals find resources for harm reduction, detox, treatment, education, or support groups. And we build community support for recovery and we'll also work on life goals such as relationships, work, education, etc. We role model recovery within the community and within our own lives, and we recognize and support that there are many pathways to recovery. Go ahead, Jess, for the next slide. A lot of times people get confused with what a peer engagement specialist or recovery coach is. We are not therapists or counselors. We're non-clinical. We're not doctors. We're not a spiritual counselor, a social worker, or law enforcement. So we're just really an added addition to support you within the role within the community and also in your pathway to recovery. Next slide, please, Jess. We provide support by assisting individuals and their families in navigating the existing systems and services that can lead to recovery. Recovery is a unique journey, and we support individuals wherever they are on that journey. We advocate in the community to reduce stigma because alcohol and substance use disorders are complex brain diseases and not moral failings. The science of addiction shows that substances change the chemical pathways in your brain, which can make it difficult, if not impossible, to stop on your own. The good news is that with support, recovery is possible. We are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are based generally in the hospitals, but we also work within the community. Our services are free and confidential, which is always great to put out there. And I can be reached at 845-554-2527 or at cglobal@capedc.org. And if you call or text us, there is also another peer engagement specialist on our staff now, and someone will get back to you within 24 hours. I don't know if is that this last slide? Yes, ma'am. So that basically gives a view of our recovery services as well.
Thank you, Christina. So wrapping up, Regina, would you like to add anything or close out?
Yep, absolutely. So I know we gave you, a mouthful of information, but we really rely on forums and community conversations and connections like this to be able to promote our services, really to get out there in the community. So we're really thankful for being provided the platform tonight in order to come and speak. So just to add, prevention is a collaborative effort. Communities, families, partner agencies, and organizations working towards a common goal is the driving force of prevention. So thank you for taking the time to meet with us. Prevention education support or resources, please think of CAPE, where the power of prevention makes a difference in the quality of life in our community. So thank you so much.
We thank you and all of you for joining us tonight. So thank you to Regina, Jeff, Molly, Christine, and Christina for presenting and sharing all of this information about all of the key programs that you can offer our community. And so we hope, I don't see any questions in the chat box. So we hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks.